we need to talk about the most important thing in the world, okay? There is nothing in the world more important than this piece of marketing news. And that, of course, is Ninja's rebrand. Same Ninja. So today we're going to talk about Ninja's rebrand and also some of the best and worst rebrands of all time. And I want to go into this one because I think it's an example of, a lot of textbook things I think done wrong. Logos are very subjective, and I think people often claim fact on certain parts of logos when there is no fact there. And people who are really designer types will say all sorts of inane bullshit to justify, minor tweaks in fonts. The most important part of a logo is that it's distinct. Whether or not it's cool, whether or not it's sexy, whether or not it's anything, as long as it's distinct, people can recognize that it means your thing. And then if your thing is good and they like your thing, then the logo will be good. It'll grow on them. When you've already built a lot of what we'd call brand equity, rebranding like this is extremely, almost always suboptimal. It's not a great idea. And then when they do it in this way where it it just looks worse, this is already, this confusing font choice, the thing and enjoy. This is, you're a Twitch streamer, and this is like extremely close to the Prime logo. Maybe it's all part of a subtle plan to farm more Primes. There's two real reasons to do a rebrand. One of them is when a company is failing, okay? When a company is going through hard times, they're starting to lose sales, they panic. And they think the first solution is radical change in marketing. You can think, a great example is Facebook into Meta. A good reason to do a rebrand, is if the content you're creating or whatever you do as a business is changing dramatically. And you want to signify that to consumers, then a rebrand is one of the best ways to sort of break through and change their mental models. And then the third reason that happens a lot is just doing it to do it. So CMOs, which is chief marketing officers, have the lowest, they spend the lowest amount of time in their jobs. CMOs are often hired and then fired within 5 years, often 3 to 4. And so every time a new chief marketing officer comes in or a new top marketing hire is made, they want to sort of plant their flag. They want to be like, okay, whatever the old person did, that's whack. Let's change it up. And so they'll tweak the logo for no real reason at all. This happens at a lot of companies, and it ends up with a lot of pointless bullshit small rebrands that don't do or mean anything or are often bad. In general, a rebrand will be negative in the short term. So Ninja, I think here is trying to signify that he's doing more adult stuff. I don't mean porn. I think he's done kid-friendly stuff for a long time. And I think he wants to, swear more and sell merch to people other than kids. Given what Ninja had, I think this is probably a foolish choice. And I'm just discounting the fact that the logo doesn't look very good. It's more memorable. And the blue and yellow was an iconic color scheme that he sort of owned. It was a space that he owned. I want to do a larger discussion on some of the biggest rebrand fails in marketing history. So I picked up a couple. I picked up some of the best ones and some of the worst ones. First up, one of the ones I always like to talk about is the Pepsi logo redesign. Not because it's particularly bad, but because it literally accomplished nothing and cost a fuck ton of money. This was a massive undertaking by a new CMO there. By the way, they said this logo was bad, and their new logo was linked to Hindu tradition, the Parthenon, the Mona Lisa, Earth's gravitational field, and sun's radiation. that consumers would feel all of those associations when they saw the new brand. The estimated total cost of this rebranding was $1.2 billion over 3 years. Plus $1 million for the logo alone. And their market share dropped. So, it's just the perfect example of the most inane marketing bullshit. It's kind of stuff, it's not marketing that I'm the most, I like to laugh at. The only thing that matters is what the consumer thinks when they first see it. It's basically the same thing. In fact, if you've ever seen, when consumers try to draw brand logos from memory, this is what they do. Here's an example. This is Burger King drawn from memory. Burger King advertises all the time. We all think we know it from memory. When people try to draw it, they're kind of close, right? But in general, they're not, they only have sort of a rough. They only know it when they see it. And so when you think about how kind of close they are, this is basically the same logo. Like if you ask someone to draw the Pepsi logo, they almost can't tell the difference. It accomplished nothing and cost them a lot of money and did nothing. Even the Apple logo, which is incredibly simple, if you ask someone to draw it from memory, not quite that accurate. You know what I'm saying? And the Apple logo is incredibly easy. People don't have nearly as much recall as you think they have. Another terrible example was the Gap. What the logo looks like is less important than what it conveys. And the Gap was targeting a certain consumer, basically like a middle-class consumer that wanted like sort of the appearance of kind of a higher end, but at an affordable price. That's what Gap was going. And so they had this iconic, safe, traditional logo that had a connotative air of luxury. And they went with this random, incredible, Helvetica is the most common font in the corporate world forever, for like 60 years. So this is the most forgettable logo of all time. And it got such a backlash and such a hit to their sales, they abandoned it after almost 6 days. Next up, we have this one, which I thought was interesting. So I think the Xerox logo, the old one's not that great. And in fact, the new letters I thought were pretty cool. Throwing this random Xbox 360 clone. Why? Where did this fucking come from? But then I thought about it more and I was like, they're Xerox. They're a copying company. If they just copy someone else's logo and change the color, it's almost on brand. So maybe I liked it a little bit more. But again, this was actually pretty terrible. And I think they reverted it. Oh yeah, no, look. I'm pretty sure they dropped the logo. I think they dropped the ball. Because if you look at their website, it's just the font, which I think is great. The font's pretty good. I talked about this before. Penney, again, same kind of thing as Gap. This looks like a architecture company. It looks like a design firm or an architecture company. It was completely ineffective. And again, it's not like it doesn't look, it looks fine on its own. It's not like this is like an incredible logo. But it's like if you're gonna change, you automatically default will lose customers. And so Penney did a random logo change while they were bleeding customers. And all it does is make your problems way worse. Because their current customers, who still like Penney, were put off by the new logo, which connoted a different thing than what the company did. They didn't change the product. I have a couple good ones that I'll show you, but I want to show you the biggest fail. This is probably maybe the worst rebrand that I've ever seen from a big company. This was Tropicana, where they rebranded not only their logo, but their entire box design and got rid of the orange on the orange juice box. And again, we're looking at this up close, but from a distance, this was even more unrecognizable to stand out as a Tropicana orange juice. It is literally studied as one of the worst rebrands of all time, caused an immediate, not only backlash from consumers, but an immediate day one drop in sales as people couldn't even find Tropicana on the shelves and just started buying different orange juice. This is bad alone, but think about how many variants of juice Tropicana has. There's the no pulp, some pulp, lots of pulp, calcium, low acid, all with a colored square. This looks all the same. It was just bad. The only good thing about this box is that they made the cap look like an orange. Instead of this orange cap, they had the orange cap, and they kept that. Within weeks, they had lost 20% of their sales. Like, they were just moving less units of orange juice immediately, which is an immediately bad effect of a rebrand. They had to make a website called How to Find Tropicana. Because instead of backpedaling and undoing the logo, they made a website to explain how consumers could find their product. They had to roll it back. And the only thing they kept was this cool orange cap, which is the one good part of it. Now I want to show you 3 logos that were hated when they were launched. Again, almost every logo is hated when they're launched, but I think have stood the test of time. So Instagram, Slack, and Airbnb were all hated. But again, almost every rebrand is hated. I can't think of one where there was like universal positive reaction. And I found some of the quotes. This new logo is a travesty. This may well go down as one of the biggest design fails of the year. This new logo looks like a swastika made of dicks, and now I can't unsee it. I challenge you to name a sexual area not evoked by the logo. But I think they've grown on people, and they're not really as bad as people said when they launched. So this is the Instagram logo change. Now again, the one on the left is cool. Don't get me wrong, but it's not as distinct, and it's a little too busy and detailed. When this change was announced, it was like universally panned. Everyone talked shit on it. There was a million experts saying why it was so bad, and then it ended up doing pretty well. So now I want to show you some of the good ones. I think one of the best examples of logo redesigns is Minecraft. The jump from 2011 to the new one, obviously, is a massive improvement. More distinct, more readable. Minecraft poggies, you know? But even better, I think, is when Microsoft took over, look at the subtle changes between bottom left and bottom right. It's like, it's small. It doesn't alienate anyone like this one. It's just better in every respect. They just took something that was a good idea, but not executed well, and made it like really, really solid executed. Another good one, UPS. If you look at the 61 UPS versus the 2003, this is just awesome. This is like one of the great public logos, like government-based logos. The UPS logo is like really well designed. It matches the packaging. It matches the outfits. Verizon had a good, again, Verizon, terrible company. I don't support them in any way, but their logo redesign was clean. This is a clean logo. I mean, this first logo is busy as hell. Looks cheap. Looks like a place, it looks like a Radio Shack, dude. And then Google. I think the Google logo, clean as fuck, the new one. So recognizable. They didn't change anything that was good about the last one, just made it cleaner, better, more easy to use, more mobile friendly. Facebook, I think they're redesigned from this weird fucking early 2000s random glossy square, random glossy top to the clean logo. I think that's great. I think their third rebrand to the Meta was trash. Again, Facebook's logo and branding was not the problem. It was that the product is terrible and filled with angry old racist people. If it was a good product people like to use, the logo would be good. No one doesn't like this logo because of the logo design principles. This is the Ducks logo change. So it went from this, which is awesome and reminds me of, Mighty Ducks, to this, which is kind of boring. And also, just like, if you're going to go duck, you should still go green, white, yellow. You don't want to go brown or like brownish. This is a terrible color. Duolingo's pivot to make their bird more of a character? Absolutely. Duolingo originally had the more boring font-based logo, and they started adding the owl in, and they have done the owl in all their marketing, and the owl is like very universally beloved, and it's drastically increased their social presence, likability, net promoter score. That 2012 owl is freaky. This owl's looking like in my fucking soul. There's no joy in this owl at all, and there's also no name. I think they ended up by far in the best version of their logo, and they've done really well. That being said, let me give one more fail. Just when you thought brands couldn't get any more horny, Scrub Daddy got Duolingo pregnant. What the fuck? It's fucking real. 6.7 million views on the Duolingo account. It's 100% real. Got a lot of exposure? Yes, it did get a lot of exposure. I will say that. But there is a line, because people will watch something if it's weird or funny. That doesn't mean they'll grow more of an affinity for the brand. And them sexualizing this, like if fucking Sesame Street tweeted tomorrow, Big Bird like chopping someone's head off, it would get a lot of views. Do you understand? But it might not be good for the long-term Big Bird brand. Anyway, I don't want to do too many more logos. Unless anybody has any more good logo ones, we'll talk about a couple more, but I actually want to jump over to the Reddit.